Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are going to call the Environmental Services Utility Board meeting to order for Monday, July 21st, 2025. At this time, we'll begin. Are there any public comments? Seeing no public comments, we'll move on to roll call.
Mayor Curtis.
Present.
Alderwoman Lewis. Alderman Prude. Here. Alderman Barron. Here. Alderman Osinga.
Present.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Here.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Jones.
Present.
Clerk Gall.
Here.
A present, one absent.
We do have a quorum. Next on your agenda is the minutes from June 16th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion from Alderman Osinga and a second from Alderwoman Johnson. Is there any questions, comments, or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Prude.
Aye.
Alderman Barron.
Aye.
Alderman Osinga.
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Clerk Gall.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nay.
The minutes for June 16th, 2025 are approved. Next, you have in front of you the bills for July 21st, 2025. Those numbers total $734,571 and 24 cents. If you add in the total bills for ESU for the month of July, they are $1,411,455 and 95 cents. Is there a motion to approve the bills for ESU for the month of July?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Alderwoman Swanson. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
We have a second from Alderman Osinga. Is there any questions or comments regarding the bills for the month of July in ESU?
Mayor,
Alderwoman Johnson.
did we buy a storage container or rent one?
We, I can.
Go ahead.
So we bought two of them. We bought two containers, because eventually we're going to be out of PSI building. So we had a chance to buy two containers where we're going to put all of our winter or summer stuff in there in the winter, store it. So we're getting ahead of the fact that we are going to be out of PSI building.
When does our agreement with PSI end?
I think that ends roughly a little over 12 months, so.
Okay. And it'll be stored on your property?
Yes, we have them at the Starlight Drive-In. There's two right next to each other, so our plan is to put in all the mowing equipment in there and then lock it up for the winter. We're going to put concrete blocks in front of it so that no one can get in them.
Okay. Thank you.
So pretty much it's just for storage because we know we're going to be out and we have to find somewhere to put this stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
I was going to say, we did a 5-year lease, I believe, in 2021 there. I think it expires towards the end of 2026.
It's going fast.
Yes.
No.
Any other questions or comments regarding the bills for ESU? Roll call.
Alderman Prude.
Aye.
Alderman Barron.
Aye, but I abstain as to check. 36615 to Barron Hewitt Oil. 36635 to Gordon Electric Supply. 36642 to Joe's Automotive. 36643 to Kankakee Ace Hardware. 36660 to PSI Construction, each to avoid a potential conflict.
Alderman Osinga.
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Clerk Gall.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nay, 1 absent.
Bills for the month of July for ESU are approved. We're now going to move into our monthly activity reports, and we'll begin with the ESU Street and Alley Report.
Hey, good evening. So everything's running as smooth as possible. We are going to start our street sweepers. They started today. They're back out. So we're starting on North Schuyler and working our way through the north side and back around. I do want to say that we're going to be setting up all week for Music Fest and then tearing down most of the half the week next week. But I also want to get into that new machine that we bought, and we're using it, the grinder. So we've done quite a bit of work in the Third Ward. They started off pretty slow where we were learning, and they did 60 ton in like 2 weeks, and now they're doing almost 60 ton a week.
Okay.
So they're moving, and they're doing this all by hand, shoveling, raking. It's not a machine. So, and they're doing great. And we're going to stay in one section for at least 2-3 weeks just to show that we're there. And so right now we're in the Fourth Ward doing that. So, but they're like when I say this crew is working, they're working.
Is everybody familiar with what they're doing here? Instead of doing the tar and chip, they're actually milling, grinding away the road like you'd see with a MFT program, and then, and what size are you doing these days?
Well, actually, they did one spot that was narrow, 40 inches, but it was 80 feet long. And they're doing about 14 by 8 foot sections, which is, but we also had the tar and chip machine out too.
Right.
So the tar and chip machine is in the alleys, and we're rolling behind that, so that works out great.
And this is basically, you can see they're getting pretty good at it, so.
And
Alderman
the work
Osenga.
they've done in the Third Ward is very impressive. I mean, it really looks good when it's done. It's smooth, it's rolled out. Whatever we paid for the machine, I don't know, but it's worth every dime we paid for it, I can tell you that. Big improvement.
Tell you, I wish I would have bought the wider one.
The what, the wider one?
The wider miller. But the 40 inches is great, and we're actually working on something.
Well,
We're actually working on another piece that we're building in-house. It's a drag box, so you put the asphalt in it, and then we'll use a piece of equipment to pull it backwards so that it lays itself so the guys can move more and do more and not have to shovel everything. Because you could actually set the height of the asphalt.
I mean,
Alderman Jones.
that sounds pretty good to me, because, I mean, it may sound crazy what I'm about to say, but, I mean, we spend a lot of money on MFT, and I don't know what that machine will cost, but if you got the hang of it, for what we've got to spend, I know we're going to go out and do a little bit of this and that, but how much is that wider machine or what have you?
Oh,
How much is it though?
I don't know, I didn't look into that one. I mean,
Okay.
we have this one, and it's working great. It just takes a a couple more passes to just do, but they're doing great.
Well, this is,
And again, it all depends, like I sat there and watched it, when it's crumbling, it goes by fast. And when it's a little harder and stuff, it goes by a little slower, but they're doing great, and they're doing it wide enough so that the skidster can come behind them and pick up the asphalt. Because remember, we still got to pick up the grindings afterwards.
No,
It's a process, and they're doing great, and I think with the one we have is for our patchwork that we're doing.
well, I mean, because right now, we've got so much, I catch heat all the time, and I'm happy for Third Ward because everybody took care of us early, so that's why I'm not really fussing.
they're going to hit, what we asked is, they're going to hit each ward, but we asked them if they could stay in each ward for a couple weeks,
Right.
so that you make a small dent in that area instead of jumping all over and moving
no, I
around.
get it. I
So
get
that after 2 weeks goes by, residents will notice a little bit of and this is really more for, I'll call it the 8-foot by 10-foot section that's got potholes that you've been filling with, cold patch for years or whatever. This cuts it all out, hopefully takes care of it. So this isn't really, they're not, like you said, you went 80 feet, but technically, we're trying to do small 10 by 20 areas.
And the 80 feet was the fact that it was like straight down the middle over there, where the seam meets.
No, I know,
So-
because we got a couple of them, that's why I said, well, that sounds pretty good, and, because we got to wait, we waited all year, so we got a couple of them that we
Yeah,
still.
we're going to work, we're going to hit, try to hit every ward until they stop making it.
Right, so that'll be
I'm thinking that's probably October, late October.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Lopez? Okay, thank you, sir. Next is the sewer services report. Superintendent?
Real quick, just an update from Tech. We had the tornado siren maintenance, that's all done and complete. Everything's working good. One has a service feed is a little low, so we notified ComEd. Still working, but they just need to raise that up a bit. As far as sewer goes, we had a pretty good month of area cleaning, and the crew's been out working in Basin 9, doing some televising. So that's coming along pretty nice. A couple of rainstorms ago, when we had the really bad one, we had an issue out at lift station 500. We had some debris that got caught in one of the pumps, locked it up. Overload switch that's supposed to stop that when it's drawing too much power to keep it from frying failed, so the pump fried. So right now, we got a bypass pump to help the one pump that we have in place, and working on some solutions, maybe some bigger, better, I won't say better, some different design pumps that'll help with the debris that comes through that lift station. We already did go ahead and replace those overloads so that those will work properly. And then we had a lot of debris that was on the buoy line that you may have noticed. Thanks to the fire department, they took a couple of my crew guys out there in a boat, and we were able to clean off that buoy line. So I was getting a little concerned about that. You know, buoy line's very expensive, and the tension on that from all that trees and wood. There was even a dock on it. So I'm glad that they were able to clean that off. Again, thanks to the fire department. Other than that, everything's been pretty routine.
Remind me which one is 500?
That's the one that is by the airport.
Okay. Thank you.
You get a lot of the, comes from the jail from there, most of it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Alderwoman Johnson?
I know we had talked about a grinder at one point on the jail side's end, I believe.
Yeah, I
Is there
think,
any progress with that, or?
So I think that a grinder type pump, I think that's back on the table. That's something that I'm looking into.
Okay.
The lift station that we have, it's made for a Smith & Loveless pump, but there's some modifications that can take place to make it work with those pumps. I think that might be the way to go. The way that the lift station 500 is set up, they're much larger pumps, much bigger pipes. So usually the debris can make it through unobstructed, and it usually causes us trouble in Gar Creek. So if we can do something at 500, I think it'll help 500, but it'll especially help Gar Creek as well. So that's something that I'm working on for this fiscal year.
Is the county, would they help contribute to the grinder portion of it, or?
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Zach? Are you going to handle lab then too, or?
Yeah, I can't, just to say that there was really nothing out of the ordinary this month, just the same kind of samples, the same kind of fog problem that we're kind of battling at Gar Creek, but still, keeping that at bay. It's not getting out of control, but we're still working with the industries up there to implement some pretreatment to get that under control.
Any questions regarding lab? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, we will now move into financials for the month. I believe there's an updated assistant comptroller, I believe, passed out everybody a revised packet, so you've got one in there, but if you look at the one that was handed out to you, it's dated 7/21/25, and we will turn this over.
Do you have more?
Well, as the mayor said, there was a revision to the June actuals, so that's why you have them before you. For the purposes of this discussion, the budget for 25-26 is considered preliminary until the numbers are approved here and moved to a vote later this evening at City Council. These are the numbers that we're measuring against. Actual year-to-date expenses are currently 13.2% below budgeted, or $847,846 less than budgeted. Accounts payable disbursements are in line with cash balances for the month. If you look at the graph on page 2, you see that the operating cash went down as our accounts payable went up in the month of June, and that was due to the extra payment to Stantec Consultants of $58,065 and $180,046 being paid to Norcan. Revenues are running higher than budgeted at 16.7% or 0.08% higher. This is due to the implementation of the rate increases that were effective May 1st. We would have expected a higher number, however, CSL had a partial shutdown last month, which is rolling into this month, and they expect to be back up and running beginning of August. So that's looking good. It will get better. We also saw an uptick in revenues from Aqua, which is presented in graphs on page 3. And in a consistent manner, the collection charges, as we get billed more, they collect more, so they go up a little bit. Overall, I expect next month to be a better month. Any questions?
Any questions on revenues or expenses at this point? City manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I did notice on, all the percentages look really, really strong across the board, but on the expenditure report, the workers' comp insurance, I assume that's timing, that percentage is running really high?
It is timing.
Okay.
It's an accrual.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Mayor?
I'm sorry, Alderman Barron?
Could I get some context on line item 366 in the revenue? This is the Mantino contract that says last received February 2024. Is that an ongoing contract, or is that just, they're not?
No, that's an annual contract for capacity. That is, we get $150,000 a year from that. That contract was it a 20 or 25 year?
5 years?
I'm trying to remember.
It's 20-something.
It might be 25 years, because I believe it started in 2002. So they pay $150,000 annually to the city of Kankakee for capacity, excess capacity we have. They've never used it. That's just a placeholder, and that talks about, I believe, up to 1 million gallons a day that they could potentially use if ever needed. That contract, I believe, expires in early '27. We're probably down to less than 18 months on it, and we're already starting to have discussions with them about a potential renewal of that.
So they are paying on an annual basis?
They are.
They didn't pay?
They pay on an annual basis. They did pay, yeah, so this is, if it's 24, that's probably paid for this 25 fiscal budget, probably.
Yeah, they always pay ahead.
Yeah.
So when they paid for 24, that was captured. It's actually for this year, but the way we budget it, it's been off for 12 years since I've been here. So we have to tell you the last time we received it so that you know that they are current in payment, but you won't see another payment for it until January or February of this fiscal year.
Got it. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. We'll move on to old business, hydro plant update. Zach, if you just want to give a quick one, I don't know if there's a whole lot to add, except for things are in motion, but go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We're starting to get comments back from the stakeholders for the draft license application. So I believe the comment period runs through September. So when that ends, we'll compile those, go through them, and make a plan on how to address those. As far as the pump is concerned, I think we're about 90%, at the 90% mark for the engineering, so just some final things to go through, and then that'll be ready to go out to bid again. And then still on track for getting the turbines back and getting those installed late next month.
Any questions regarding hydro? Okay. We have no unfinished business, but we do have quite a bit of new business, so we'll move on to that. First up, under Section 8A, Committee Approval of the ESU 2025-2026 Fiscal Year Budget and Recommendation to Full City Council. So you have in your packet here, and you should have several pages of the proposed budget, along with a capital list. And City Manager, you want to lead us through this, or would you like me to, or go ahead?
Absolutely, Mayor, I'm happy to. So looking at the budget that we have proposed for fiscal '26, a lot of really strong work was done here with Comptroller Rogers and with Superintendent Newton. I was also involved in some of these discussions. Basically, the gist of salaries is that with the union contracts we have anywhere from 3 1/4 to 3 3/4, depending on which contract we're talking about. So those would be the salary increases that are included inside of this budget in general for all the line items. Very strong discussions were taking place. We're still seeing some supply increases, as you and I are both still seeing when we go certain places to purchase things. We are seeing that within the utility too. So the managers were very conscientious in making sure that those increases were included. I do not believe there was anything that is in my notes that was any type of a major increase, other than we do have a full salary in for the hiring of a sewer manager. That would be the position that Zach vacated when he became the superintendent. We have waited as long as we can. We need to fill that position. We have begun some interviews with that and are in motion. So we do not have a full year budgeted for that, but we do have most of the year budgeted for that position. So that is included. We did put in proper increases for insurances, as we have done on the city side as well, budgeting around that 8 to 10% increase for liability and for workers' compensation insurances. We do not know what those numbers are yet, because we do not renew that till the end of the year, but we do know that they will go up. We only have encompassed 4 months, though, of an increase, because it won't happen till January. So that's why the numbers don't look like a full 8 or 10%, because we only have to account for those 4 months within this fiscal year. The big number there that actually was in your packet as well, the capital repair and replacement. So that's in that first category, 51 for expenditures. I'm on page 5 of 7 of the one that Rhonda passed out. Are you guys off of a different document? You are, aren't you? I have that as well. I'll get caught up. I have that too. I'm more used to the other one. I'll get there. All right, so page 1 would be, I think it's page 1 of this, yeah. So page 1, the very last number is that large number 601, which is capital, and you can see that the final budget this year is $2,308,000. And as you saw, if you kept going through the detail of your packet, we have a very detailed list as to that capital list. And I think I'm going to let Mayor talk about some of those highlights, because you've been very involved in those conversations.
So behind your budget there, you should have a sheet here. It talks about ESU capital, fiscal year 2025-26. This is behind the proposed ESU budget. We wanted to break down for you, as we said, we have in there a little over $2.3 million of self-funded capital for purchases and work that needs to be done through ESU. We've broken it down by departments, and I'll just run through it very quickly. Properties, each year we're continuing to try to update and maintain our properties. We've got some more tuck pointing that needs to be done on this building. That is the west, north, and east sides of the building. We did some emergency tuck pointing last year. We want to complete the tuck pointing, so hopefully we don't have to deal with anything in this building for another 40 years of our life. Continuing the seal coating that we started last year, Farmers Market would be seal coated, and the St. Paul's Lutheran, that's a city lot, we call it St. Paul's Lutheran, that's never been, we crack routed and sealed it many years ago, but we never seal coated that. We'd finally get a seal coat put on that. Depot door in the waiting area, so those are properties. The depot door has to do with the Amtrak station. So Amtrak is going to be starting doing renovations of the platform stage at their cost. They'll be doing new lighting fixtures, new concrete, making everything ADA. But we have a waiting area, and that is an area that locks and unlocks when the trains come, 20 minutes before, 20 minutes after. But that door has been busted into countless times from people wanting to get in there in off hours of the train station. So Zach is working on updating, this is money that would be used to update that waiting area, a little bit of restroom work, a little bit of some interior work in there, but a large significant area, it's not all door there, but we'd be putting a new depot door on that would be very, very secure, almost, I don't want to say impossible to break into, but very difficult to break into. And we're hoping to work on a new system where it would be maybe QR code generated with the Amtrak system, where they would, if they have a ticket, they would have a QR code that would allow them to be able to open that door from having a ticket versus having somebody punching in a code, or just even having it open up 20 minutes in advance or 20 minutes after. The trains don't always run on time. So what happens is people get in there, they wedge the door open, and then they wait for everybody to leave, and then they use it as a home for the evening, and then it becomes very there. So significant money to be put into that Amtrak waiting area to accommodate our trains there, but also to solve some problems with there. DPW, in motion, this group has already approved the purchase of the 4 dump trucks, or the tandem axle, single axle trucks, the used ones. We also have a new one on order. If that comes through and it's ready, we have the money allocated for that. The salt barn, if you remember last year, or actually earlier this spring, the salt barn was damaged. We got roughly $55,000 for an insurance claim there. To build it how we think it should be built, and this is with new concrete and a new, how do I want to call it, James or Frank, it's not a tarp, but it's a...
Yeah, it'd be a prefab with a...
Prefabbed tarp over it that would last a long time, but to do all that's about $130, so we've budgeted an extra $75,000 to make sure that the salt shed is done properly forever. And then also in there is we're looking at potentially redoing all the fencing around the DPW property, trying to set the standard. We're asking other people to upgrade their properties. If you look at that fencing, it's been beat up pretty bad. The slats, and this would be a black power coated fence with slats in between it the whole way around with barbed wire on top, and really enhance the appearance of the DPW area. Sewer, there's a lot of things there. You're going to see a couple new vehicles, for some dated ones. Lift station repairs, that's some of the stuff there, and I know Alderwoman Johnson, you asked about a potential grinder that could fall into that category there with lift station repairs. Continuing fixing some of the PLCs so we don't have the false calls. A bypass, the pump grinders at 500 is $150,000. There we go, it's in there. The lift station repairs is just things that we have that need to be upgraded. And then a flow meter to put on to tracking our sewer. So that's a lot of money there in the sewer. Lab needs a new truck for its, also for its operations, software implementation. And then we left it blank, but there's a certain section at the Karma facility that does not have air conditioning. We're asking some of our worker to basically work without air conditioning. Why it's not our property, it is a place that we use, and so we're looking at how we can do some AC for our employee there. IT and tech, poles is just that, light poles. Those are magnets, it seems like everybody hits them, and they don't have insurance, so last year we did $100,000 and did a lot of improvements to the poles, especially over on Route 50, Fair Street, we got now $100,000 for light poles. Traffic cabinets, we're trying to keep 1 to 2 on stock at all time. Again, those are magnets, seems like everybody hits them, and then they don't have insurance. But even when they do have insurance, we want to be able to put up a traffic cabinet right away until we can replenish it on a backlog of, sometimes takes 6 weeks to get a new traffic cabinet in. We also are being proactive. Zach is working with the team to put concrete bollards around these traffic cabinets so that if, hopefully they don't get hit, the cars hit the traffic bollards. Microsoft renewal, that is something that happens every year. Cameras, we put money in for cameras, and what we do there is, as you know, we spent a lot of money on ARPA to have our Avocado cameras for the police department throughout. Well, they're all working great now, but we figure over time, there's going to be minor repairs that are going to happen. One's going to break, one's going to need something, so we allocated $30,000 towards that. And then pole repairs, is that, what's with the pole repairs, Zach? That one I don't remember.
That's for the concrete bases of some poles that were hit and broke.
Okay. So those are ones that just need to be fixed. So total, you see a lot of money. And then we also allocated $585,000, that's for Basin 9. That is the work that is being done on the manholes right now. So we're paying that without ARPA money because we're out, so we're paying it with cash on hand. So total, you see there's a little over $2.3 million, but this is money that will be used from surplus money that we have on hand and revenue that's generated to get a lot of these things done. We really believe this list is going to get real shorter in the next coming years. We made a big dent last year with, I believe, 1.5 million. This year's 2.3. I expect next year, at least I hope, it'll be a much less number because we're starting to really almost get everything done that we need to get done. There's always going to be a need for vehicles and equipment, but we're getting a lot of the property things and different things done that should put us on a good horizon for the next 3 to 5 to 8 years. So I can't promise what next year's capital allocation will be needed, but as we were looking at the 5-year plan of what needed to be purchased, and we're in basically year 2 and 3 of it, that list is getting much smaller. And so this year, while we had the opportunity, we really tried to knock out a significant portion of that, so it'll be much less for you next year.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Not yet. So a couple questions. The ESU building roofs, approximately 400,000. Are we expecting to get those done this year?
That note is in there because it's a possibility if something else were not to come through like we
Okay.
plan. It is something that needs to get done, but we believe after we spoke that we can wait another year. We're hoping.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, did you say this is cash on hand that we already have, so we wouldn't be going to bond for this?
None of this work that's on this list would not be going for bonding.
Okay.
So on the bonding that we had talked about at the Budget Committee, the majority of that was for the hydro plant and also for the future I&I infiltration that we're working on. So we've got, next year we'll have to do close to $500,000 to $600,000 on basically 1st and 7th Ward of sewer lining, and then we put another million plus in there for the next basin that we would do. And quite frankly, that's probably the one south of town, as I think is where we go next, is going to be down in the South Tech, West, those areas down there. That's probably our next worst area that we need to address. So the bonding would be for the next 3 to 4 years to be able to do that work.
Okay, thank you.
What we're trying to do here is, some of this is, the tuck pointing is 40-year plus, but a lot of this money here that we're spending on doesn't last very long. So when we bond money, we're trying to bond money for stuff that will last more than 10 years.
Yep.
Hopefully 20 or 30, but at least 10. A lot of this stuff has got short lifespan, so we're trying to pay it with cash.
Okay.
It's got lifespans of 5 to 10 years.
Thank you.
Alderman Jones?
Thank you, Mayor. Whatever happened with the code enforcement situation? We were going to put all the asphalt down. You ever figure out what we're going to do with that?
Asphalt at Cold. We did that
Across the
all
street?
across the street.
Yeah.
It's on part of the 5-year plan.
Is it? Okay.
But it was not, it's towards the back end. We didn't feel it was as important as some of these other things.
Okay.
So we're trying to address as much as we can, but even we got the ESU building roofs there. We feel we can milk some more years out of that, or at least another year. And so we're just trying to prioritize what's the most important thing for right now.
All right. Any questions on page 1 with the ESU administration 51 account, 5110? Otherwise, I'm ready to move to page 2. All right, on page 2 then, looking at the budget sheet here, you've got the sewer group, and then you have the wastewater at the bottom of it. Percentage-wise, for the whole entire sewer group was 3.66% increase. There you will see that salary I alluded to earlier, on that first line, that 401 line, that is a new person, although it's not a new position, because we are just now finally filling this position. You can see there's a lot of changes. The team worked really hard to make sure that if something like, one particular line item was overstated, that it was reclassed, we took that money away, and then we put it wherever it needed to be. So I have nothing in particular in all of that category to speak to you about, unless you have any questions. Right?
I think one other thing we should highlight is if you look at the wastewater treatment, it gets more expensive each year. And it's why it's important for us to continue to do I&I, because our charges are based on infiltration, and when you have storm water from those heavy rains going down there, we pay for that. So our flow charges were up a little bit this year. But you can see there was about a $426,000 annual increase. So it's a big number.
Right, and in 30, you can see the increase in general to Karma is at 5.83%, and I know because I go and go to some of those meetings, there's a lot of discussions to make sure that that is a good rate for our residents, and that there's a lot of work that's done on that on the Karma side, so want to give our representatives to that a shout out for that, for sure. No other questions on that page. I can go to page 3. Technical Services Group, 33. There were some increases here on the labor side, as we've been trying to get that poised properly. The percentages, though, look large. The changes really aren't as large, but wanted to notate that. And also, we did make that increase to technical support as we continue to need to lean on other groups to develop and basically get all of the software that we use across the city acclimated the way we need to. Going to page 4, if there's no other questions. We've got the lab services. The increases there have to do mostly there at the top there with making sure that we get all the salaries proper in that department. And then also there's a few other changes along the way with some of the services and things. Those are pretty minor though, that drove the cost there. Department 44 is the bonds. That we go to the sheet, obviously, that Comptroller Rogers keeps. It lists out all the revenue bonds that are due, both the principal and the interest for the next year, and then also whatever is due with our IEPA loan and the IEPA loan, as you might recall, is from Stone Street. When we did those repairs and those fixes on Stone Street about, 2016 or so, we took out that loan. So that is those costs together. It shows what's going on with that. Page 5. Public Works, you can see within Public Works, total increase of 8.36%. Same situation where there were some move arounds with some categories and everything. We do have a large group there, as you all know. So when we have changes with salaries, we also have to take into consideration any longevity bumps or anything else that's coming down the way with our employees in those departments. Those have all been accounted for in that situation. Also important to note here is that they do house on line 530 the waste hauler amount, and we did have a large increase of that just solely based off of it's a large number, so if we have to put a percentage increase on it, it's a bigger number. So then at the very end of that, you can see the total utility expense is up 8.36% from last year's budget. 8.2% from last year's budget. And then going to page 6, this is where we have the revenues listed out, and you can see those in detail here. As you know, we did increase industrial sewer more than we did the residential sewer to make sure that we were basically putting the charges where our money goes for repairs, and we know that, and that's why we did that when we did the ordinance. So you can see here that obviously the residential piece looks like a larger increase, but that has to do with some size. We've had some adjustments there that we wanted to account for. And then the industrial sewer is a larger number, and that is due to the larger amount of the increase that we are charging to the industry so that we can recoup those costs when we have to do the work that is done there. We also know that some of the other fees will be going up, so that we encompass that here. And when you get to the end, then you can see that total revenue number there of $25,347,000 for fiscal '26. And then the surplus in the fund right now is estimated to be $745,704. That number, I always like a little bit more of a cushion in the ESU because sometimes sewers and things, we've had a really good run here in the last few years. I think the work we're doing is showing off, both in Zach's, in his sewer department, and then the decisions you all have made. But we have had years, and those of you who've been around a while know, we've had years where we have sewers that have massive issues, and we have to pay for those. So we always want to leave a little bit of a cushion, just in case there is some type of an emergency that we cannot forecast at this point in time. Any overall questions? Irene?
Under the ESU, so 50,
Okay, for DPW?
yes, sorry. For overtime, it looks like last year we budgeted 100,000, came in at shy of 65,000, but we're only budgeting 25,000 for next year. So a difference, like almost 75,000 decrease, if I'm reading that correctly.
James, do you have a reason for that? I actually don't. I'd have to ask Paula about that. Frank?
I think we had actually requested to raise it to 110 or 120, because we just don't know with the snowstorms. You know,
Sure.
we've been lucky over the last couple of years pertaining to a handful of them.
Right.
And with the contract raises, I believe we requested anywhere between 110,000 to 120,000. So I'm not sure where that
Yeah.
$25,000 came from.
Salaries look like they went up a little bit more perhaps than what they're supposed to. So when we will definitely, I will bring this up to Comptroller Rogers, we'll look at it. But anytime, if we need to make a change within the department, if we find that was an error, we can do that without coming back for an amendment, because anything within the department can be moved.
Okay.
So if that needs to be moved around, we'll make sure we take care of that department for that, because it does not look right to me either. So thank you for saying something. Anything else?
So bottom line is what you're looking at there is you're looking at ESU budget that has a surplus of 740,000 plus. And then on top of that, we did increase our self-funding capital from 1.5 million to 2.3 million plus. So that's an increase of $800,000 of repairs and purchases that we'll pay for with money on hand. So we are looking for if there's no other further questions, we're looking at a motion to recommend this budget to full city council tonight.
So move, Mayor.
We have a motion from Alderwoman Johnson. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Alderwoman Swanson. Are there any questions, additional questions or comments? Roll call.
Alderman Pruitt? Aye. Alderman Barron?
Aye.
Alderman Elzinga?
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson?
Aye.
Alderman Jones?
Aye. Aye.
Clerk Gall?
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nay.
Okay, you will see that on your city council packet tonight as we move forward. Next is item B, approval of the purchase of a 2013 Sakai, am I saying that right? SW 339-inch double drum vibrator roller. This is the work that we talked about, that we had a small rolling machine that really didn't have enough weight to it, and then it was also recommended to the team that it should be a vibrating roller to really compact that new asphalt properly for the roads. This is a cost of $28,600. I believe we'll see it is it on the bills tonight, I believe, or we're approving it, to help with the asphalt that we're milling, grinding, and doing these small strips of 10 to 20 feet. The smaller roller that we had that didn't have as much weight, we're using that with the tar and chip machine, I believe, now. So when they do the tar and chip in the alleys, they're rolling that with the smaller roller and using this much larger roller out on the city roads. It's making a real difference to make sure that asphalt lasts for many years to come, so. So we're looking for approval to purchase this machine.
So moved,
Make
Mayor.
that motion.
We have a motion from Alderman Jones, a second from Alderman Elzinga. Is there any questions or comments? Roll call?
Alderman Pruitt?
Aye.
Alderman Barron?
Aye.
Alderman Elzinga?
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson?
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson?
Aye.
Alderman Jones?
Aye.
Clerk Gall?
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nay.
Okay. Next is item C, discussion of proposed 2025 ESU revenue bond issuance. This was brought up to the Budget Committee a week ago tonight. ESU is looking to go out and bond for $4 million, paid back over an 11-year period. We can get you more of the information if you weren't at Budget Committee on how that pays back and everything. That would not have a first reading until the first meeting, August 4th, and then we'd have a second reading on it August 19th, with projected timeline to go out in the week of September 8th to go out and sell the bonds. The $4 million of bonds, that how we would spend those money would be $2 million for the hydro plant. We're hoping it won't cost $3 million, but it could. We're well into over $1 million on the hydro plant now, and that was used with ARPA money. We're eating into our capital as we move forward, so we would use $2 million for the hydro plant. The other $1.5 million, as I talked about, would be for I&I future work. That would be the sewer lining services next year, somewhere in the range of $500,000 to $600,000, and then another $1 million of manhole repair and sewer lining services, and what we believe would be the next basin area would be south of town. As I said, the Route 45, 52, Riverstone Parkway, South Tech, that area there. That would give us enough money to make sure that we get through 3 more summers, summer of 26, 27, and 28, to continue the I&I work that we're doing. And then we had $500,000, what we called for miscellaneous. That is basically things that we just don't know about. It could be further lift station repairs. It could be things that are just unexpected that we might need. It could be equipment or something along that line. The other thing that we brought up is with the revenue bond issuance is we have an opportunity to refinance a bond, and is it I don't remember the number, 2016 or 2016 bond. Right now, we'd have roughly more than a 2% savings. We would not make that decision until the month of September, where current interest rates are, if we pull the trigger of that. According to Bob Vale, if it's in the 2% range or higher, it's worth doing. If it fell well below that, then we probably would punt and save that. But that could save us about $100,000. The $4 million that we would be, as I mentioned before, typically we'll go out 20 years on a bond. We can repay this back over 11 years, and we'd go on a shorter time frame, which would still keep us in line with several other bonds that would fall off by 2036. So that's just an update. There's no action here. But if you have any questions about that, please reach out to city manager or myself. I'm even going to say city manager if you don't mind. She's very actively involved in this and understanding the bonding from the ESU standpoint, and quite frankly, even if you have some questions regarding the general obligation bonds. But
Mayor, it's the 2013 Bs, I just looked it up.
2013 Bs, that we have an opportunity to refinance and get a lower interest rate. We would not extend the timeline on those bonds either. We'd pay them off just as quick as they were set to expire. It'd be just like refinancing your house and saving 1 or 2% interest. And I think Bob projected if it was as of last week, there'd be about a savings of about $100,000, I believe.
Correct.
Any questions regarding proposed revenue bonds for ESU? Alderman Barron.
In the capital list for 25, 26 that we just looked at, there's a line for Basin 9 from Robinson Engineering, $585,000. Is that the I&I work?
That's for this year's I&I work. That's for the manhole cover repair. So this is in what we call Basin 9, which is mostly north of Court. It's I call it the 1st and 7th Ward areas. That's the Mary Crest, north of Court Street, getting into the near Grinnell Road Junction area, stuff like that. That work this year that we let that out for bid is $585,000, roughly.
Okay, so that's not the same work?
That's not the same part of the 1.5. The 1.5 million would be for work that we would do in Basin 9 for sewer lining in summer of 26, and then manhole cover repair in summer of 27, and sewer lining in summer of 28, based on whichever next basin this council chooses. We can always pick another basin, but we kind of been going about what's the worst of the worst. We started with the Hillcrest, Lower Riverview area first. We call Basin 9, which is north of Court Street. And talking to Zach, it seems like the third worst area is far south of town.
Mayor?
Alderman Osinga.
$2 million for the hydro plant. Do we know where we'll be at as far as getting that up and running if we put another $2 million in it? I mean, are we
We're gonna,
close?
so we will have to put another, up to $2 million. I'm hoping it's less, but we will need another $2 million. I say this word sometimes, where you can't get half pregnant. We're pregnant with the hydro plant. We're $1.1 million, $1.3 million into it already. But where are we at right now? We're expecting, as Zach mentioned, that the first 2 turbines have been pulled out and being rehabbed, will be delivered to the city somewhere in mid to late August, installed, and we hope that we can have those up and running by mid to late September. So that 2 of the 3 turbines would start producing, or getting ready to start producing, some energy for the city of Kankakee. Once those 2 turbines are put in, we'll then pull the 3rd turbine and send that away probably for about another year again, and hopefully have that installed in summer of '27, spring, summer of '27. But the goal is if we can get the pump in, we can get the new service, what am I calling for, down at Karma, the
recloser and the
recloser done, and those turbines, and we're hoping that late this fall, early winter, we can be running the hydro plant and making some money.
Okay, thank you, very good.
Any other questions regarding potential bond issuance? Okay. Oh, boy. Well, that's not good. Okay, well, we're off camera because we went past 6:50, but, okay. Next, real quick, is discussion of DPW salt. We did talk about that as part of the work. The total cost is a rebuild on that. James, you have anything you want to add to that? It's basically a concrete base with a source well awning cover.
Yeah, so everything's already there, the brick wall. We're going to use the 2 existing, the brick wall that's there, and then I'll be working with a company out of Connecticut, and we'll be doing some engineering there, and they'll fit it to spec, and then they'll come and build it, and it's all source well product. I think the one we were looking at is somewhere about 120, 114,000, somewhere around there, depending on which one we get. The higher, the better, and what it is it's going to go straight up and then like this, so we're going to have enough clearance to dump in there and stuff and not worry about getting caught up with trucks or our inloaders.
So we'll use the $55,000 insurance money. We're projecting, as you saw in that self-funding capital, of up to another $75,000. We hope we don't need that much, but we're putting some room for error in there. But we need to really get started on this ASAP because salt will be coming very here shortly. Why it's going to be 100 degrees this week. Salt comes in. When's your delivery coming? Do you know roughly?
So we actually just took about 200 ton in earlier this month because we had to buy it for last year. And thankfully, the Park District is letting us put it in their building, so it's not in the elements. So that's a plus, but I'm sure they want us to get it moved out of there. So the sooner we can get this started, they can build it.
So, and again, we'll be just using that as part of the self-funding capital. So we just wanted to give you a heads up on that. It is all source well, so that is, if you don't familiar with source well, that means we don't have to go out for bid. It's already been pre-bid for us through the state, and so we're buying it through that. So we are moving full steam on that because we got to get it done for early winter here. Item E, we are going to not act on tonight. We are going to still do some internal work on the employee handbook with department heads, and so we expect that'll come back for committee approval in the month of August. There is no need for an executive session tonight. Is there any questions from this committee? No. Seeing none, it is now 6:54. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
We have a motion from Alderwoman Johnson, a second from Alderman Osinga. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.